Okay, guys, here's your word of the day for April 20th. Transient, lasting only a short period of time, a person who moves around a lot. So it can be either of those things. But an example sentence would be eating your feelings gives one a transient feeling of satisfaction in that it doesn't last very long. I'm sure we've all been dealing with that of late. Wormholes. So science fact today about wormholes. Wormholes essentially are punctures in space and time. So if you imagine this was a piece of paper and you fold, like you can, to get from one side to the other, you could either move from one side of the paper to the other, or you could fold the paper in half and then poke a hole through. And that's what wormholes do. They're theoretical at this point. There's not really any proof we have that they exist, other than the fact that they're mathematically possible. However, don't get too excited. They, while mathematically possible, are also incredibly complicated and very difficult to stay open, very, very small as well. So it'd be difficult to get anything of any size through. It'd be difficult to use them to travel about the universe. History fact today. Herbert Hoover was actually a pretty good dude. He gets a bad rep because of the Great Depression and all that. But the reason he was popular in the first place was he was a pretty big humanitarian. During World War I, for example, he ran the Belgian Relief Fund. The Belgians were basically the Germans had occupied their territory, and they were basically starving. And he organized a massive relief effort that basically saved Belgium from basically starvation. And that's why he was famous, because he was this humanitarian who organized these relief efforts during World War I. So anyway, Herbert Hoover was not just the guy that had the Great Depression happen. And then finally, book of the day, the Yiddish Policemen's Union. Very interesting book. It's kind of sci-fi and fantasy, but it's not really. It takes place in what feels like a very real world. But the thing is like there is, instead of founding a nation for the Jews in Israel, they instead give them territory in Alaska. And this is about basically a policeman's life in this era where the Israel doesn't exist, but that there is a Israel in Alaska. It's kind of an interesting book, very, very neat, very well worked out. It's got the kind of neo-noir style. So if you kind of like the Blade Runner or something like that, it's kind of got that feel to it. It doesn't involve robots or anything. I don't want to give you the false impression, but it's got that kind of like noir feel to it. It's kind of a fun book.